Hi, this is Anita Foust, and I'm picking back up on the topic about financial wellness and basically the things that you have to deal with in the workplace. You have to keep a cool head so that you can keep accomplishing your goal. Tonight, I'm going to go further into the charges against the New York City Mayor, Mayor Adams. These are allegations. I don't know him. I don't know if these are things that truly happened. Tonight, I am going to focus on intentional emotional distress. I can't remember exactly all the words, but I have told you once and probably more than once about a situation where the supervisor would bring people into the office day after day after day and just intentionally it calls emotional distress. You may find yourself in that type of situation on the job. I certainly have. And there is an agency that deals with that, and it's still the EEOC. This is when it's in the workplace, but you can have the same type of intentional um, emotional distress. Someone is trying to cause you to be upset intentionally. It doesn't even have to be in the workplace, but I'm going to stick with in the workplace because when you're dealing with it outside of the workplace, the agencies don't deal with it. It has to be on the job and it has to be in their jurisdiction. Once again, this is the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, employment. That's why the agency helps if it's regarding employment. So according to the charges that are being alleged against the mayor of the city of New York, is that he calls someone, they haven't named the person yet in the newspaper, who it is that who it's filing the charges, but it happened, I believe it was 1993, and in 1 week, the statute of limitations was going to be up and done with. And so that is why all of a sudden he's being charged with these things for something that happened in 1993. It's now 2023. So of course the question always is, why did the person wait so long? Why didn't they file charges back in 1993? They might have been scared, might have been, fearing for a loss of their income. There was a lot of reasons why someone would not do it. But then on the other hand, if these charges are not true, then the New York City mayor is under duress himself. He is under stress and, fear for his job because I'm sure he can be removed as the mayor. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So down in the description, I have information about how to contact the EEOC, and it's very simple, www.eeoc.com. It is said that that's the best way to figure out what it is that you need to do to be able to file the complaint. But you know what I always tell you? Document, document, document. When you go to the EEOC, which I have done before, you have better come prepared because imagine this, that they want to tell you, no, you don't have a case. So don't come in there with something flimsy. You got to go in there loaded for bear. You can either have a witness, if you can get someone to come forward with you, that is really good. But if you can have awesome documentation, and as I told you before in a previous episode, that I found out that they had two files on me. They had one file they showed me, which had all the praises in, all the good stuff. And they allowed me to make copies because you have the right to make copies. Now, why is it important for you to make copies of your file? Number one is so that you have proof that you have all of these good accolades. You need to have proof. If you leave them in the file, they can get missing. So if you have a copy, even if they get missing, you still have your copy. The other part of it is, as in my case, if the person who's normally giving you the documents is not in and you go and ask someone else for them, you just might find out the other file, which is what happened to me. I was able, because the guy I was getting the information from, my supervisor, he was out one day. And so I went up to the secretary for the department and I asked her for my file. And that's when I got the bad file. I don't know if she knew what was going on, most likely. But she made sure I got that file. And I could not believe what I was saying. This is absolutely true. Absolutely true what happened. And so I did have a coworker who went with me over to the EEOC. And of course, I took the documentation with me, the good file, as well as the bad file. I was loaded for bear. You couldn't get anything better than that. But of course, they retaliated. That's the other thing you have to be concerned about. If you decide to do this, you have up to 180 days to file the complaint. Now, what I could have done, and at that time I was very young, I think I might have been 20 if I was that old. So I'm telling you, I have a long amount of experience dealing with these various issues. I'm not an attorney. I keep telling you, I'm not an attorney. I'm just giving you my opinions based upon my experience and things of that nature. So I'm telling you, you have got to document, you have to ask for copies of your file, even when there's no problem. When I asked for a copy of my file, there were no problems, I thought. But then, like I said, they had a document in the file that said, let's say the letter was dated June the 1st, and then they said on June the 30th, I did X, Y, Z. So they must have had a magical crystal ball that told them what I was going to do on June 30th. But of course, I never did it, so their crystal ball was wrong. So these are the types of things that really take place in the workplace. I want you to be prepared. And I forgot to mention in the previous episode that you have to have a side business. There are really a lot of good reasons why to have a side business. And one is that you can generate extra income doing things that you like to do. Hopefully you would do a business in something that you like to do. It may be that you just do a business because an opportunity came along, not necessarily because you liked doing the business, but that's a good reason to do one. But not only that, you get great tax refunds. I am not a tax expert. I'm just basing upon my experience. And if you do some reading, do some research on the internet, you'll find that the tax code was set up for business owners. And so you're able to write off a lot of things that you use normally in your everyday life when you use them for business. But I'm not going to go into a lot of depth about that. You can contact those tax experts. You can read books, go to the bookstore, go to the library, keep yourself educated on what is best for you. I'm just giving you some information that I know about, but I am not a tax expert. Absolutely document, keep a journal, say who was around. If you have pictures, if you have proof, other than pictures, in my case, I had 2 different files. They had cooked the books. They had one good one, one bad one. So if you can find something like that, that's kind of like a loaded gun. It was their loaded gun. And I have no reason to understand why they had a bad file on me. So the question is, did they have it on just me? Or did they have that on everybody? And it's highly possible that they had done it for everybody. Now, who do you think typed up that backwards letter? And she might have done that on purpose. The secretary, because back in the 70s, most of the men, they depended on their secretaries to do most everything for them. I don't believe that the person typed it up. I believe that the lady who gave me that file, she typed it up. She intentionally, I truly believe, meant for me to know what was going on. But she couldn't do it unless I asked for my file. So I want you to have some takeaways here. Number 1, document. Number 2, have a witness, document who they are, even if they don't want to come forward. If it has to go to court, then you can subpoena them. But you need to document what time things happen. And I don't know if anybody could have a better case than I had when I took my case to the EEOC. Always pretend that they don't really want to help you, which is possible. So you have to go in there with a very good case. You need to create the record. And that's what I'm trying to inform you of. The other part is you have to have a side gig going on. You can have a part-time business. It could be a multitude of things, whatever it is that you like to do. Things that you might want to try. It could be photography. It could be cake baking. It could be digital products, which is the least expensive thing for you to create and be able to sell over the internet. But Being harassed on the job and people causing you intentional emotional distress, that is something that is illegal. It is considered a tort. I looked that up on the internet. I am not an attorney. So if I looked it up on the internet, you can look it up on the internet as well. So if you look at my thumbnail, that's what they call it, thumb. Whatever the little picture is that looks like a business card, I have it spelled out for you. And I also have it spelled out for you in the description below. Absolutely, absolutely. I really want everyone to be fishermen and not people who just want fish sandwiches. It's important for you to know how to complete these forms and how to have the documentation. Even if you can afford an attorney, you still got to bring him or her something that they can use. You've got to have that documentation. You have to have a timeline. This is something that attorneys need. Now, how do I know that? I have hired attorneys and I know what they look for. And I know how you can have a great case and an attorney can mess your case up. No matter you hire an attorney, you need to know what the timeline was. What was the day that it happened? The question you need to ask them, I guess I need to make a separate video for this, is to ask them when you're paying them, what's my deadlines? I need to have them in writing so that you'll know if it's 180 days, whatever 180 days is from June 1st, if that's December the 1st, you know, I don't know exactly how many numbers, how many days those are, but you and your attorney have to be on the same accord. And this will also let you know if you are hiring the right person, because they should be able to sit down and have their calendar out. And they shouldn't tell you, don't worry about it, because if they lose the case, you lose the case. They got their money and they're going ahead on. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. You do not want to be in that position. Oh, that's a whole nother story for another time. My name is Anita Foust. Check me out on anitafoust.com. And please, y'all, please document. This is so important for you to have financial wellness, is to have 3 months paid up, 3 months paid up on your rent or your mortgage. And if you have a mortgage, go talk to the banker to make sure that any additional mortgage payments that you want to make are put into the right category so you don't have a surprise later on. So when you're paying your rent, you just pay with individual checks. June 1st, this is the check for that. July 1st, there's no confusion when it comes to rent because you can write that on the check or the money order. But in the case of a mortgage, you can't write it all on one check, and you have to make sure you go to the banker because the teller may not understand how these things work. Okay, I have so much advice to give from my experiences, but please, please build your team right now. You need to have a team for your taxes. You need to have a team for in case something happens legally to you. But one of the main things that you need to do is to document, document, document. And I'll be back another episode to continue on talking about these charges against the New York City mayor. It falls right in line with what I'm talking about. And so I hope they give us more information soon. So I have a link to that CNN article in the description below. Thank you and have a blessed day.